we're going to bring in our man, Jamal Crawford. He's one of only a handful of guys that's played Michael Jordan one-on-one and lived to tell about it. Jamal Crawford, what's up, brother? Welcome to the Odd Couple.
What's up?
What's up, fellas? How you guys doing?
Man,
we're great, man. How you handling
this?
this shutdown?
Oh man, my wife got it all under control when the school part of it kicked in. We were a little razzle dazzle the first couple of days, but she got us on a routine and a schedule, and now we're all good to go. So yeah, just been doing that, a lot of family time, working out.
Now I was gonna say, I know you love playing ball. Do you have a gym in your house, or where you playing at?
Actually, we have a hoop outside that we're using just for my son to be able to dunk. But now we had to make use of it and make it 10 feet so we can get our workouts in. But now this is definitely inspired me to get a gym at home. So I had the workout facility part, but now I actually need a court. So definitely need that.
Well, now look, I gotta believe you're watching The Last Dance just like everybody else. True?
You know that? Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now you got
not too many things are on, and then of interest, the basketball. This would be the thing to watch. So I'm sure he's watching.
You got a great story. You played Jordan one-on-one?
In the commercial, yeah, in the 39.
Just in the commercial, but
commercial.
y'all didn't get down outside of the commercial.
No, we played 5-on-5 outside of the commercial for two straight
That's right.
summers,
Y'all weren't losing.
We never lost. Yeah, we never lost. We played together.
What are your a lot of people now, and you kind of are right in between the kids today and the Jordan era. Where are you at there? I hear people, some millennials are falling in love with Jordan because they're seeing the up close and personal.
Right.
Others are saying, in the 80s or 90s, the basketball wasn't as good. Nobody else was as athletic as him. Where do you fall on like Jordan versus today's player and how he would fare in today's NBA?
Yeah, this is no disrespect to any player or era or anything, but Jordan would dominate any era. Like, he was that good. Just think about it. When he came out of college, he wasn't known as a shooter. Every challenge that he threw at him, he met it head on. He turned his weaknesses into his strengths. Oh, he can't shoot. Okay, I'll show you I can shoot. Oh, he can't defend. Okay, I'll show you how to defend. Oh, he can't be a scoring champion and win a championship. Oh, okay, I'll do that too. And people seem to forget when he sacrificed, like Phil said, hey, you're going to sacrifice. He went and led the league and scored 7 more times. With those championships, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
it wasn't like he went down to 8th in scoring. You're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, and my thing is, like, you say, okay, he didn't shoot threes like that. Well, the way the lanes are and how the less the physicality is now, he would have got that extra point between threes and twos at the free throw line. He would have lived at the free throw line.
I think he'd average 40, Jamal, honestly.
Oh, easy. Without a doubt.
And the way that you can't play defense today, if you touch somebody, would have been a big difference. Also, the other part is you just see the way I think Chris is right that people who really didn't get to see. I got fortunate to cover him during that time, and I was at a lot of those big games that shot against Craig Elo, and I was sitting there and watching. But I think a lot of people are getting to watch and see that it wasn't an easy road. That there were a lot of people who doubted Michael Jordan and thought he was just a dunker and he didn't make anybody better and he couldn't win. So, because I hear that all the time. People are like, oh, you guys are haters on LeBron. And I'm like, Michael Jordan went through the same thing until he was able to push through and win, and then people change your mind about you.
And you know what, Rob, to me, to be honest with you, think about a guy like Bobby Knight, right? He has all the basketball knowledge. He's a Hall of Fame guy. In 1984, before Michael played an NBA game, he said he's the best player I've ever seen. Right? He said this before Jordan went on to do this. And loving, you can love more than one player, right? You can love Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Russell, whoever you want to love. But at the end of the day, for me, like, Michael Jordan's so good, when somebody else is great, the best of the best in their craft, they say, hey, he's the Michael Jordan of rap. He's the Michael Jordan of soccer or whatever it might be, right? So he's like the end-all, be-all. And that's not to knock anybody else. Like, to me, it's not a Jordan-LeBron discussion. Like, Jordan's by himself. He's from a whole different planet. And then, there's great players, top 5 type guys ever, But for me, Jordan's just in a class by himself.
Jamal, another guy you loved was Isiah Thomas. I know that's why you chose to wear the number 11 for most of your career.
Yep.
Does it pain you to see that those two are at odds? I mean, that two of your favorite players still at odds 20, 30 years after they were done playing.
And Jordan's reaction looked like he was mad like it happened yesterday. I mean, just the way.
And you know what? I think I'm sure that they've seen each other, been around each other at some point since then. to me, what I got from it was how competitive they both were. They didn't want to just give an edge for anything. Like Isiah, I'm glad you did that, like, oh, y'all must have forgot type thing with Isiah. Like, he was the last little guy to be the best player on his team to win a championship before Steph did it the first time. And he did it twice, back to back. He did it twice.
Should have been 3 in a row. Right? Should have been 3 in a row without that phantom call, really.
And then MJ gets past that, and he doesn't lose again in any full season he ever played. You know what I mean? So the respect they have for each other, whether it comes across on video or not as players, I think that this goes without saying. Like, I think they really, truly respect each other as some of the best players. Isiah is one of the best players ever played.
No question.
Jamal,
Isaiah's up there.
Let me follow up on this, though. Isiah, I think that they hurt his legacy when they didn't put him on the Dream Team. Clearly deserved to be on it. Chris and I even say he might have been, if you count down the players and ability, the 4th player chosen. That's how good he was.
Right.
When you look at Isiah not being on that team, and you play in the league, you know people, what have you ever heard about that? Because a lot of people act like they don't know what's going on or what happened or how that happened. But I think it's a travesty. But do you have any insight? Have you ever heard of why Isiah didn't make the Dream Team?
Well, just from what everybody else said. Don't forget he signed me in New York, so I was with him for almost 5 years. And I never asked him that personally. But, I mean, he's a competitor, and he knows he should have been on that team, just like everybody knows he should have been on that team. Now, the one thing I know about MJ is he's brutally honest as well. Look at his Hall of Fame speech. Look at this documentary. Right? And he's never come out and said, hey, I didn't want him on that team. Because Michael has nothing to, hide or lie about or anything. He's always been straight up, always real. And I think if he was the one behind it, he would have said it by now. Right? So I think there was definitely some other things going on. I wasn't there. None of us were. But I'm just sad that he wasn't, and we didn't get that opportunity to see him. It was still the best team ever. But having Isiah there would have really been the icing on the cake.
Jamal, I'm guessing that you're talking to some of the players, in the league today during the shutdown. What are guys feeling like as far as, do they think they're going to finish a season? Are guys staying in shape? Are they going to be totally ticked off if they don't get to finish the season? What sense are you getting out there?
Just a lot of confusion, to be honest with you. Like when the lockout came, even when I was in the league for that, it was a lockout, but we knew at some point we were going to play. And even with that, we were able to still work on our games. We were able to play 5-on-5, right? Like this is a whole different. There's no steady guide for this one. It's not like, okay, this happened, so you have to do this. Like a lot of guys had to order outside hoops just to have something to shoot on. You know what I mean? Like think about that. We took it all the way back to the old school. We were growing up playing on playgrounds. Couldn't get it. So it's just a whole different dynamic. But I think guys are doing the best they can right now. I think with Zoom calls and having the different teams doing stuff together on that, going through workouts and stuff, just making the best of the situation. But if it did happen and they came back, I think they would need at least a month, 3 weeks to a month to really fine-tune and get back in that basketball shape.
And of the teams, when I look at the Lakers and Clippers, because those are the two teams, in the West and who are playing well and whatnot, does the layoff help the Clippers or the Lakers more? The Lakers being LeBron in year 17, get some time to rest or whatever, or the Clippers where Kawhi and Paul George were banged up and their team, which is already way, way deep, becomes even more healthy and it gives the Clippers an advantage. Which team benefits the most, do you think?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think the Clippers benefit the most. And I think LeBron said it, like he's in year 17, but his body's programmed, and I know exactly what he means. His body's programmed to, hey, we're rolling, and it comes down to rest over rest or rest over rest. And I think it benefits the Clippers because, like you said, they had their 2 best players banged up. Well, now I'm sure if they're not healthy, they're closer to being healthy, right? And so they're only going to benefit from it. And they're deep. They're deep, and they have shot makers, and they'll be a tough fight. I think those two, if they did continue the season, those two would be in the Western Finals with a slight edge going to the Clippers.
Jamal, we got 1 minute left. Last question. Recently, some executives were polled on, would they rather finish or start a team with Luka, Ja Morant, Zion, or Trae Young? Luka won. What's your pick if you could start a team with either of those 4 players?
Who was the last one? Luka,
Ja Morant, Zion, and Trae Young.
Ooh, that's tough. They all bring a little something different. Personally, they all can put people in the seats. So it just depends on what you have around them. I think you can't go wrong, and I think that's why basketball is such a great position moving forward. All these young stars coming up together and having those little young rivalries and things like that. I personally watch all of them. I don't watch anyone more than the rest. I love Ja Morant. Love Zion, seeing him healthy. Trey is exciting to watch, and Luka's just, what people don't say about Luka, I think he's like Brandon Roy. They don't throw that comparison a lot. His coolness, the way he plays, the swagger he plays, you can't speed him up. You can't, do anything to get him out of character. So I think those are 4 good choices.
All right. So very diplomatic answer right there, Jamal.
That's right.
Hey. Now, I was thinking, I really don't know how those 4. You can't really go wrong with either.
You can't go. They're all great. There's no question. They're all great young players. So
you could have eliminated Trey Young, though, because he doesn't play any defense. You could have at least eliminated him, no?
Hey, he don't like Trey because he's light-skinned, man.
Oh, stop. Here we go.
He don't like. I'm the only light-skinned dude he likes, man.
Here we go.
But only because there's not very many playing defense. It's
that's
more
right.
Yeah, that is true. No doubt.
Right.
All right,
Jamal. Great stuff, man. Enjoy, yourself and be safe during this shutdown, man.
All right, thank you guys. You as well. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thanks. Rod Thorne. Everybody's been talking about the Dream Team. We just mentioned it with Jamal Crawford. Rod Thorne, who helped put together, the Dream Team, the great executive that drafted Michael Jordan to the Bulls, he said today that, again, in helping to put together that team, he said, there was never, this is a direct quote, there was never anything in my conversation with Jordan that had to do with Isiah Thomas, period. He said, I'll do it. Isaiah's name never came up during that conversation, and he never backtracked and said he didn't want to do it from that time on to those of us in the NBA office. So he said, now, if that in fact happened, then it happened with somebody else, because when I talked to him, he ended up saying he would definitely do it. You buying it?
Not at all. 0%. And shame on Rod Thorne. You're better off not saying anything. First of all, how do you explain Isiah not being on the team then? Doesn't even make sense, Chris. How does he explain that? If you say Michael Jordan didn't want him, why the hell did nobody else in the NBA or the basketball for the Olympics want Isiah Thomas? It doesn't even make sense, does it?
No.
All right, so that's why it doesn't make sense.
He wasn't. You didn't just decide, you know what? He's not one of the 12 deserving players. There's no way that came. There's no way.
Wait a minute. Christian Laettner and
Chris
Mullen.
Right? I mean, like I said.
Seriously. That's the part. And whoever interviewed him or asked him to not follow up. It was on the
Golick and Wingo radio show.
To not follow up with why wasn't he on the team? Like, seriously. The only way he's not on the team.
Let me see. Go ahead. But I believe they did follow up with that.
I hope so. The only way he can't be on the team.
Yeah, okay. Here you go. Thorne was asked why wasn't he on the roster. Here's Rod Thorne's response. That's a good question. Because Isiah was a great player, a fantastic player. There was some controversy with the Pistons regarding not shaking hands with the Bulls.
Oh, stop.
There was some bad blood, obviously, there.
Bird did the same thing.
Right, but when we ended up going with the first 10 guys, he did not end up making the team. I agree with you. Right? Look, Michael Jordan, I'm not saying, I think there was issues with Magic. There's issues with Bird. Michael Jordan didn't want Isiah on the team.
Thank you. And you know what? There's only one guy who could stop. Because without Michael Jordan, you don't have a dream team.
No, exactly.
Am I right? Seriously.
We said it yesterday. Look, they could have won that without any one player. If Magic wasn't there, if Bird wasn't there, if Michael wasn't there, they still win going away. But it's not a dream team. It's not this historic team. It's certainly not known as the best team ever or
if the
one of the two best ever.
Right.
There's no way. And I've been told Michael was reluctant, period. Like, forget Isiah. Michael, for some reason, was reluctant to play anyway. Maybe because he's just year-round getting so much attention. Maybe he wanted a break. But
that was kind of like the whole thing, Chris, about what we talked about, whether it was true or not totally. But let me see the roster first. You remember, like, it was kind of like I might be in, I'm not in. It wasn't like I'm on the team. Let me see the roster. It was like, let me see the roster before I even make a decision. So,
yeah, it'd be great if he addresses this in The Last Dance, but I doubt it because I haven't heard anybody that's seen it all say that,